Welcome back to another FPL reaction stream. It has been a while since I've done one of these kind of double streams in a day, and that was probably around a month ago at this point. Time does fly. We had the international break as well, and we still have a few games left of Game Week 12, of course, but I'll provide my initial transfer plans, ideas, and also thoughts ahead of Game Week 13. But we do have two games tomorrow, including the North London Derby, and one on Monday, of course. But the game that just went by, a massive result there for Newcastle, and that could also add another twist and turn to the title race. But in terms of my FPL performance, it's actually a green arrow because Robert Sanchez is due to get 2 bonus points, which is very solid. I'll take that every day of the week. And despite conceding 3 times to Nottingham Forest at home, Virgil van Dijk still got DEFCON. So you know what? I'll take the 3 points and run with it. And that's one of the main appeals of Van Dijk as an asset for DEFCON. But ultimately, if he doesn't keep the clean sheets, he doesn't justify that 6 million price tag. But I just bought him in. The start of the show has definitely been Lacroix. He's going to get 13 points, courtesy of 2 bonus. He was only outshone by Daniel Munoz in the end, who scored the opening goal. But Lacroix got a clean sheet, DEFCON, and he's a quality FPL asset. He's finally getting that big return. I've still got a few players left in Timber, Indai, and Fernandez, but essentially I've only got 1 player tomorrow and then 2 on the Monday. So I could be down to a red arrow by the time we get to that Man United Everton fixture on Monday night. Ismail Assar blanked yet again. At least he got 60 plus minutes with the clean sheet point. Antoine Semenyo did miss out, so the player coming off the bench is Renilo Mandava, and once again my bench was absolutely terrible. Danburn, of course, was suspended. Dubravko got 2 points, and both Renildo and Reinders got a 1 pointer each. Fulham did score late on, and the Brazilian was actually booked in that game. Otherwise, it could have been a decent return for him, but yeah, that was never going to happen when he was coming on for Antoine Semenyo. Nick Voltemada missed 2 big opportunities against Man City, and Erling Haaland missed a few chances of his own as my captain, and Joao Pedro got booked, and that's only a 1 pointer. So after all of that, it's still a green arrow, which I'll take happily, but then again, the vast majority of my players have featured already, so it could be a downward spiral as we get to the Monday. But let's get to your comments and questions. As always, drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let's have a chill and enjoyable reaction stream. That is the plan, because on Tuesday there is going to be such a hectic deadline stream for UCL Fantasy, and in the meantime I'll be cooking up some team selection videos, best wildcard and limitless squads for match day 5, so keep your eyes peeled for that. A chip could be deployed in UCL Fantasy this week. 00 says 25 points, really disappointed by Semenyo, Van Dijk, Mateta, and Haaland. Yeah, arguably Mateta is the most disappointing of them all, and I expected Semenyo to feature. I did see a few tweets circling around that Semenyo actually missed out because of illness in the end, but I need to verify that and check for myself, and ultimately, either way, it's the same result, right? He doesn't feature, and a lot of us will have some poor returns coming off the bench, but yeah. Erling Haaland, of course, blanking against Newcastle. It's not a complete surprise, to be fair, but if you look at my squad as well, yes, Bruno Fernandes is yet to play and stuff like that, but Joao Pedro's my vice, only got 1 point. So Jean-Philippe Mateta I've been bigging up all week. I like him a lot as an FPL option. He also got a 1 pointer. He missed a huge chance as well in the first half. So a lot of disappointments all round. And, if hindsight, was a thing, of course, in FPL, and I could have captained Lacroix, then yeah, I'd feel a lot differently. But it's so difficult to find that sort of reliable option for the captaincy to rival Haaland. But you will get opportunities like this. Also, when Haaland played Spurs at home and Aston Villa away, where he will blank. And if you get that captaincy spot on, that would result in a massive rank rise. Although, as an Arsenal fan, I'm happy because Man City lost, says 0. Yeah, tell me about it, but it's still a long season, and Arsenal need to actually capitalise on this, as they have done for most game weeks this season, and stretch the lead to 7 points at the top of the Premier League table. I thought City would get the job done, and once Ruben Dias scored, I was kind of feeling that the worst was going to happen there. And Harvey Barnes missed an open goal. Voltemada missed 2 big chances. I don't know how the first half ended up goalless, but we got them in the second half, and Harvey Barnes definitely atoned for his error. Now we've got the other side with a Man City fan here in Cilindra. Kind of disappointed after that game. I feel like some of the decisions may have gone against us, but at the same time, we have made or been made to rue missed chances. Yeah, both teams missed some glorious opportunities, and I think 2-1 is kind of underselling the game a little bit, but at least we got goals in the second half. But yeah, I think with Man City, they'll be massively disappointed. Foden missed a big chance. Erling Haaland had a few chances himself Anyway, we move, and of course, you're hoping for Arsenal to drop points. The game's the game, so don't worry about that. And all the best for your FPL weekend. Regarding FPL, kind of a decent-ish week so far. Just hoping Man United players don't perform on Monday, so I can maintain the green arrow. Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about Mbeumo? Who the fuck is Mbeumo? Sorry, it's been a long day. Mbeumo and Bruno Fernandes, and from my perspective, I hope Mbeumo blanks, but I'm not really expecting that sort of thing, to be honest. It's just kind of a hope and a dream. But yeah, also the same for me. But if we have a lot of players featuring already, then we should temper expectations for tomorrow and the Monday. But thankfully, there are only 3 matches left of Gameweek 12, so hopefully we can secure that green arrow. Lars says those 3 points for Newcastle keeps the season alive. I mean, look, I'm very happy about the result, how away the lads and all of that, but I think for a neutral, especially those that hate Arsenal maybe, which isn't really neutral, they would have wanted C to get a win and put the pressure on Arsenal, and then, we could have both of them going, blow for blow until the end of the season, maybe hitting 90 plus points or something, but I don't think it'll be that sort of season. And even with the Gunners, yeah, they could get to that sort of points tally, but they might not even need to get to that this season. I mean, it's still early days, but I mean, Liverpool, they're out of it. I said it last week or a few weeks ago, and now it's kind of secure. You can't lose 6 games in November and win the Premier League title. I mean, even losing 5 games all season is probably not enough to win the title. And in the case of Man City, they've already got 4 losses in the Premier League. So, look, Arsenal have a great opportunity, and they've been very unfortunate in recent seasons. They have to capitalise this year, even with all the injuries. But there are a few murmurings of Madueke, Odegaard, Martinelli all returning for the North London derby. That will be a massive boost, especially after the Gabriel blow over the international break. Andrew Button says, wet Mateta captaincy, 45 points so far. Risk didn't pay off. Just got to hope Saka and Mbeumo no show now. I think one of them will return quite big, and they were both in my top 5 captaincy options to rival Erling Haaland, but so is Mohamed Salah, and he blanked Jean-Philippe Mateta as well. So it's been a very awkward week. Yeah, I think returns have been very hard to come by, especially for the template players, and we've had a few surprising results. West Ham going 2-0 up against Bournemouth. They inevitably, dropped some points there from that winning position, but I'm not completely surprised by that because West Ham have a good record against the Cherries, and yeah, in the end, we had some very entertaining games this weekend so far. So despite your captaincy flop, you've got a good score this week. I think 45 points is very solid. If you've got 2 or 3 players left, I'd be very optimistic. So you've got Lacroix, Enzo and Sanchez. Yeah, I've got 2 of them. Enzo Fernandez, I was very bullish on this week. He scored towards the end of the game, and he's a quality FPL asset. Simi Sunshine says, Welbeck captain put me from 1.4 million to 700k for now. Nicely played. 46 with Timber and Saka left. Yeah, good score, and despite only having 2 players left, so Monday could be a bit problematic for you, especially with Mbeumo. You've got 2 quality players left there in Timber and Saka. And I think the latter could actually help you secure that green arrow for sure. How many points do you need this week to get a green arrow? It depends as well on the rank you're at. So if you use a website like livefpl.net, you will actually see the safety score for your current rank. I think I'm currently 7 points above the safety score. So essentially in my situation, I've got 33 points. 26 would be enough for a green arrow. So that'll be the answer from what I can really tell you, but it will differ for everybody watching. Not sure yet. I've only got 2 players left, though, tomorrow, Timber and Eze. That's pretty decent, though. And I think Eze could have a say in that North London derby, and hopefully he does the business. I knew I should have captained Munoz. Yeah, I remember someone telling me about captaining Munoz, and he got that massive return. So despite the booking, doesn't really matter. He got the clean sheet and the goal, and maximum bonus points on top of it. I will be covering the bonus, predicted points, and a few bits and bobs like price changes, because there have been a few modifications since what I showed you this morning during the deadline stream. Ahmad says, not too bad though, 42 points with 4 to go. That's very solid. Now, it also depends on the quality of the players left. Do you have Saka and Mbeumo? If so, you're in a great position. 35 points and Rice and Timber to play. I'm disappointed with Reece James and Mateta. Very unfortunate with the Reece James one because he started the game, which I predicted, but to come off at half-time is a major blow, especially with Chelsea going on to win comprehensively. James has a great record against them. He could have even got an attack and return in that second half, so very unfortunate. And Mateta can be hit or miss. I said this before. We had that Bournemouth game, which kind of changed all our perceptions of Mateta, because by that stage he had great underlying numbers, but just didn't finish his dinner, and he was a very frustrating FPL asset. People kept asking me, should I sell him? And that hat-trick changed everything. But yeah, ultimately for both of them to get 1-pointers, it's very underwhelming, a bit unfortunate, and disappointing. Eddie Cassie says, I'm on 28 -4 with Raya, Mbumo, Bruno Fernandes left. Yeah, I'm not sure what rank you're at, but you might not be too far off from a green arrow, actually. It's a very low-scoring game week, and at least you've got some quality FPL assets. For me, you've got the best goalkeeper, although Robert Sanchez is offering great value in recent weeks, and keeping him has turned out to be a great decision for me, and also a bit fortunate at times. But yeah, Mbumo and Bruno Fernandes, having both of them on Monday looks very promising. It's not something I would entertain long-term, but I think it could work until game week 16 to 17. 37 points of Saka, Dewsbury Hall and Mbumo left, and that's by Man City are finished, even though the account holder is a Liverpool fan. You might have to change that, you know, even though City did lose just now. But yeah, good score, and you've got some good players left there, especially Saka and Mbumo, and who knows what Dewsbury Hall could do against Man United, but probably a blank in my opinion. I was one of the many fools bringing in Van Dijk, couldn't get to Munoz, had free Palace already. Well, yeah, you're making me feel a bit worse, because one of my justifications for not buying Munoz was, yeah, to leave that spot open for Mateta, but it doesn't really matter because I'm planning to wildcard soon anyway, either in Game Week 13 or 14, and the reason why I'd hold off on the wildcard is because I could free hit in Game Week 13 as well. But yeah, that would be my main regret this week, not buying Daniel Munoz instead of Virgil van Dijk, but we live and learn, right? Or in my case, you never learn. Coasters for Life says, I switched from Mateta captain to Haaland just before the deadline, so I guess I gained 1 point. Yeah, I mean, even if it was the other way around, it's not like a massive swing. I think both of them were just very disappointing in front of goal today. Is Cunha injured? I don't think so. I haven't seen anything about Cunha being injured, to be honest. A lot of people asked me about him in the stream earlier, so I'll have a look, but I'll be completely honest with you, mate. On Twitter, I didn't see anything about Cunha. Okay, so I just saw it now. I searched it on Twitter, and it was posted 2 hours ago. This is very strange. So unfortunately, Matheus Cunha's had an accident in training today. So the source is called, what? Visital Trinkum. I don't know how reliable this this source is, but it was relayed by the Twitter page MUFC Scoop. So you'll not be able to attend tonight's Christmas light switch on due to medical reasons. What the hell? That's really weird. I didn't expect that. It was also reposted and retweeted by the FPL newsletter. But yeah, that is a very strange injury leak if that's the case. Yeah, because he basically can't attend an event due to medical reasons. Yeah, it's also being relayed by other pages. Central or Centre Devils also posted this. So yeah, he had an accident in training today, so maybe Cunha will miss out. I'll be honest, I was never that keen on him anyway as an FPL asset, but that's very unfortunate for those that invested or that had him already. Wei Sing says 32 points so far, another disappointing game week. Swap captaincy from Enzo to Haaland before the deadline. Mateta, James and Joao Pedro all disappointing. Yeah, I think so, and Joao Pedro getting a 1-pointer. Very poor stuff from him. And of course Mateta, same thing, he also missed a big chance. James, of course, of the halftime sub, which I covered as well. But look, 32 points is okay. And at least you've got Enzo Fernandez. I wish I had him, to be honest. Maybe not for Game Week 13, but beyond that, I think he's a good asset. 50 points with 3 left to go. Looks really solid there, Lars. And if you got one of Mbumo, Saka, maybe even both, yeah, the green arrow is done. Can finally get rid of Joao Piss for Thiago, says Mancia finished. Yeah, I don't think I'll have him again for a while. Because Game Week 13, I'll either free hit or wildcard. He's not making it into either squad. And having said all that, he'll probably do well against Arsenal, but hopefully he doesn't. Little twat. Mateta, 59, luckily. Yeah, 59 is a great score. I mean, if you got anything above 40, I'd be very happy with that. Gone Home says, another terrible game week. It's FPL, mate. Welcome aboard. I'm losing all the 50-50 calls. Van Dijk instead of Munoz, the latest in an endless string. What to do with James? Well, my advice was to keep James against Burnley and then sell him to one of Van Dijk, Munoz or Timber, depending on your team structure. But yeah, I'd sell Reece James against Arsenal. And even afterwards, there is Leeds in Game Week 14, but I think Chelsea could rotate quite heavily in that fixture. and there's Bournemouth away afterwards. So, yeah, I think with a lot of these Chelsea assets, they are sellable. Robert Sanchez is an exception, and also Enzo Fernandez, and I still think Caicedo is a decent option. Pedro Neto has been in great form, so if you have him, you obviously hold, but yeah, I think with the rest, they are sellable. For me, Reece James and Joao Pedro are probably out. Agreed. Only wonder about this game versus Leeds in Gameweek 14, but Reece James out, Chow or City defender? Yeah, Chow has been very impressive, but in FPL terms, he's not really standing out. But his performances are very impressive, that's for sure. I would go for a City defender, and Nico Riley is still my preference despite a mistake leading up to one of the goals today. Joao Pedro for Thiago Voltemada. I like Voltemada still. He's my fourth favourite forward in FPL, but Thiago would be the one, especially if you're buying a striker this week when he faces Burnley. You could arguably bench Thiago against Arsenal, but I wouldn't be surprised if he walked away from the Emirates with a goal. He is on penalties after all, but he did miss one. So he had 2 penalties today, and he missed a very important one towards the end, saved by Bart Verbruggen. Arthur says, hey Dylan, is it finally time for us to play the wild card? Well, yes, if you don't have the free hit, and it also depends on your situation, which players you've got as well. Maybe you've got double, triple Chelsea. In that scenario, I would definitely wildcard, but like I just mentioned, a few Chelsea players are still worth holding on to. But yeah, I think the wildcard in Gameweek 13 or 14 looks very solid. I'll be honest though, over the last couple of weeks with the international break, I have slowly shifted a little bit, and I think the free hit is more likely for me personally in Gameweek 13, but I'll discuss this in my team selection where I'll have my definitive plans laid out and it'll all be locked in the next deadline stream on Saturday, I believe. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe triple captain Haaland against Leeds. That's the problem there. I think in isolation, Haaland against Leeds is the best triple captaincy chance you'll have from now until the end of the first half of the season, which is in Gameweek 20. That's when all the chips will reset, of course. But if I'm to play my wildcard, it's probably better to play it now. Well, the wildcard is the more important chip, so I would play that if you feel like it's going to improve your team substantially. So that would be my answer. And then you would have to adapt a little bit with your triple captaincy plans and maybe use that a little bit later in the season, such as in Gameweek 15 when Haaland plays Sunderland, but that doesn't look as good as Leeds at home. Thank you, Sudindra. I appreciate that. It's very late there, almost 4 a.m. in Malaysia. So good night as well. Catch up with you during the UCL deadline stream. Yeah, that'll be very soon, and also, fortunately, at a much better time for you because it is, well, 4 hours earlier, let's say, when I start that stream. Eddie KC says, I got 1 free transfer, 1 point free to spend. What to do with the team? Do I free hit or triple captain? So Raya, Van Dijk, Senesi, Richards looks decent so far. Mukiele, Fernandes, Mbeumo, Sarr, Haaland, Mateta, Welbeck, Dubravka, Semenyo, Tarkowski. I think the main issue is you have plenty of Palace and United players facing each other. You've also got Arsenal players like Raya facing Chelsea. Even if Arsenal get the win, it won't be an easy game, and I think they'll concede in that match. Semenyo should be back by then, but I also thought he'd start today, and he didn't. I would probably free hit here, but it's a very good question because I'm also very keen on the triple captaincy on Haaland in Gameweek 13 against Leeds. So difficult one, but in your situation, I would lean towards the free hit right now. I trusted my plan didn't work. Played Thiago at home, bench away. Yeah, the thing is with Thiago though, he is fairly fixture proof. Definitely in any home match, even against, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, you probably still start him. Arsenal's the only fixture where I would hesitate when picking certain attackers, but even then we saw Sunderland score twice, so you never know what can happen there. But yeah, Thiago is a very difficult player to bench. He's been very consistent, but he did miss that penalty, which helped you a little bit. Are Liverpool assets just an avoid now? Well, I was never that keen on this sort of rush to double or triple up on Liverpool anyway. Having said that, I bought Van Dijk when I could have bought Munoz. That's a mistake of mine in hindsight. But yeah, I think Van Dijk is worth holding on to. If you don't have Liverpool coverage, you don't need to rush in. That would be my advice. And for example, if you're replacing Gabriel still or need a defender, you can look at Mark Gay, Munoz, Timber, and then you might want to look at Virgil van Dijk. But we need clean sheets from Liverpool, otherwise he's not worth the 6 million price tag. This is the worst game that I put time into. It's not even worth calling a game. It's a pain simulator. Yeah, Ashwin, I think you've been around for a while now on the channel. There are a few Ashwins, to be fair, but yeah, that is a good summary of FPL. You've got to laugh about it sometimes. Yeah, it is what it is, right? But try to enjoy it, you know, laugh through the pain, and when things go your way, have a champagne. I don't know why I said that. Rod Max says, which team has recently won the Argentinian League? Rosario Central. I was repping them earlier in the deadline stream, but yeah, you're going to be bragging about that for a while. We've got to tell the Pingüinos, Los Pecho Frios, what things are about. Feeling smug with Saka captain. Well, let's see how he does tomorrow. But you know what? Even though I don't have him and he's going to punish my FPL rank, I hope he does really well. Evening Dylan had the captaincy on Minter all the time, only to change before the deadline for a Haaland blank. Yeah, very unfortunate there, but you've got 57 points, so it's an opportunity miss maybe, like me not buying Munoz, but that's a great score. The green arrow is secured, and you've got 2 quality players left in Mbeumo and Timber, so yeah, as you say, if Saka blanks, then you're going to have a great game week, actually, not just a good one. Beating Newcastle at St. James's Park isn't for everyone. Yeah, nice way to get Liverpool into the conversation, a bit of a positive prop for them. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird season, actually. I never expected Liverpool to fall off like this, but you know what? Let's not dwell on that too much because you're probably going for a lot there. Yeah, you won the title last year, so enjoy that. I have Marino subbing in for Semenyo. Not too shabby. Now, there were pictures of Gyökeres around the Arsenal camp, but not in training necessarily. I think we could see a few surprise returns there in the North London derby. So apart from Madueke, Odegaard and Martinelli, we could see Gyökeres as one of them. But if Marino starts up front, I'd be very optimistic actually. But long term, he is a sell. If 1k, how many points I need to reach to Green Arrow? I couldn't really tell you, mate, but I would assume it would be at least 35. But yeah, it's such a weird week. Mbeumo, Fernandes and Dye, Timber. Yeah, good players left, Ahmad. Looks really good. Surely 1 or 2 of them will do the trick. Wow, they removed Lacroix Defcon. I haven't heard of that before. That's actually going to impact my FPL rank, and it could, well, it's not going to be great. That might even be a good segue to, yeah, livefpl.net, so I can answer some of these questions more definitively, like what or how many points do we need to secure Green Arrow if I'm around the top 10k, for example. But let me show you my scoreline predictions and see how horribly wrong I've gotten them. So let's also get livefpl.net up. That is actually not great news then if they removed the Lacroix Defcon. When has that happened? That's weird. Normally they add them, not remove them. So, Burnley 1, Chelsea 3. So Chelsea winning by 2 is correct, but the scoreline is wrong. Bournemouth 2, West Ham 1 is a decent prediction, but ultimately it was a 2-2 draw. Brighton 2, Brentford 2. So if I swap those around, absolutely perfect, but I didn't. Fulham 1, Sunderland 1. Liverpool 2, Forest 0. I had a stinker there. Wolves 1, Palace 2. Newcastle 2, Man City 3. I'm quite happy that I got that one wrong. And tomorrow I went for Leeds 1, Aston Villa 1. Arsenal have to capitalise, and I've gone for them to win 3-1 against Tottenham Hotspur. Man United 1, Everton 0 on Monday night. Yeah, so that is correct. They did remove the Lacroix Defcon. I'm actually only 1 point above the safety score, so I'm not in a great position with only, 3 players left. So I think after Sunday, I will have a red arrow after tomorrow, especially if Saka does the business. Then I'll need Fernandes and Ndiaye to kind of save me and secure a small green. So yeah, things aren't looking too great. In terms of the top 10k, what would the safety score be? It says 25, 26. How the hell is that possible? But yeah, my safety score is 30. Surely there's something a little bit wrong with that. But yeah, I would say at least 30 would have to be the safety score for the top 10k. But I can just show you now, using this website, livefpl.net. You can see this here on the right-hand side. So I'm going to have to update these graphics a little bit, just so you can see my current rank. I'm not trying to mislead people or anything. They literally just removed the Defcon from Lacroix. Thank you very much, FPL. That is amazing. But yeah, I'm going to rectify that very soon. And I think, yeah, Robert Sanchez isn't getting any bonus points, so I think they removed that as well. Wow. So I think all of a sudden they took away 4 points from me. That's disgusting. I'm not going to lie. Or at least 3 points. So yeah. Let me show the FDR until Gameweek 18. Liverpool are now top. Man City are second. Bournemouth, Newcastle and Brentford are in the top 5, and Arsenal have risen from 11th, I believe, to 6th after that Tottenham fixture has, well, it will go by after tomorrow anyway. The bottom 5 comprise of West Ham, Sunderland, Wolves and Leeds. Spurs are also right down there with Chelsea. If we look at predicted points until Game Week 20, Erling Haaland is top, Saka is second, with Fernandes, Mateta, Szoboszlai in the top 5. No Salah, because he is going away with Egypt in the African Cup of Nations. Cunha, who could miss Game Week 12 due to a injury sustained in training, he is also right up there with Antoine Semenyo, Foden, Rice, and Leandro Trossard. With projected price changes, Timber could rise to 6.3 million now. Richards, Sarr, Szoboszlai could also go up. I mean, people are buying in Sarr, but he's not doing anything in Fantasy Premier League. And I'm quite keen to buy Minter as a sort of similar or similarly priced midfielder on my wildcard. But the free hit is also a possibility for me, as I mentioned earlier in this stream. In terms of price falls, Jarrod Bowen, who secured DEFCON today, Xavi Simons, Stack, Harrison, Adingra, Hermanson, Beto, Klein, and then the other players aren't too fantasy relevant. Some of them I read out earlier today, like Iribonum, Bedro Bodro, Wan-Bissaka, Pickford, and Mayenda. So, I did compare the stats of Mbeumo and Salah earlier. If you want me to compare any two players, let me know. I don't think they've got all the stats updated from today's matches, actually. But yeah, this would be quite an interesting one, actually. Another player, let's think of another comparison we could do here. So, let's go for Van Dijk versus Timber. Why not? And does it count his recent one? No, it doesn't. So this is before Game Week 11. Sorry, before Game Week 12. So, yeah, I did say that for this week I prefer Van Dijk. Ultimately only got 3 points. We'll see how Timber does tomorrow. But, yeah, long term, there's no doubt in my mind that I would rather go for Timber as a Gabriel replacement. And he's also going to go up in price tonight to 6.3 million, according to the website livefpl.net. Now, none of their stats are particularly amazing, but Timber has improved defensively this season with 2 goals and 2 fantasy assists, 11 shots, 5 on target, and 11 shots inside the box. The XG is quite promising for a defender at 1.86. 1 big chance, 2 big chance created, and 13 key passes, which is over 6 times what Virgil van Dijk offers. But what the centre-back does have is DEFCON and also more goal threat from set pieces. This will be a sort of provisional team and lineup for Game Week 13 if I played no chip. I've got 2 free transfers at my disposal. It doesn't look horrible, but I think I'm going to free hit or wildcard in 13. It's just a question of which one. Timing is very important, and this will be delved into across all my content. If you want to see a free hit and wildcard video, maybe even separately, then let me know in the live chat, also in the comment section for those watching on the playback. Drop a like. Let's get this stream to over 150 likes overall and closing on new goals like 38k on YouTube. And let's build all my social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, my Discord server, join my FPL and FPL Challenge Leagues, and there's also my Spotify. Leave a 5-star review. It goes a long way to supporting the channel, and become a patron or channel member. A big up to Paredes, who gifted 5 memberships earlier today, and I'll be gifting 10 at the beginning of December, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Every month, I'll be gifting 10 memberships for an entire month. Now, you might be thinking, what about FPL Challenge? So 2 of my rogue picks, well, Rice is one of my rogue picks, to be fair. I don't think Van Dijk was too rogue, but he got 9 points because he secured 90% pass completion. The same goes for Nico Gonzalez. So I've got 24 points so far. The biggest disappointment was Jean-Philippe Mateta. The armband is on Bryan Mbeumo, and Declan Rice is there for the pass accuracy, but I'm quite tempted to get Bukayo Saka in FPL Challenge this week. So 24 points isn't too shabby, and it's quite similar to my FPL score, which I need to update now because, yeah, it's been an absolute weird one with, I think, bonus points being removed from Robert Sanchez and also the Lacroix DEFCON also being taken away. So if you go back to livefpl.net, that is my current rank. I'm going to update that now so you can see it throughout all my graphics in this stream. And of course, it will change anyway after tomorrow and Monday. So hopefully things go my way. But I'm less optimistic now than I was before I started this stream when I had 33 points on board. So let's update this. 30 points. So I'm on 700, just about. So I had 34, now I'm on 31, I think. I'll double check that anyway, but yeah, there we go. And let's also put this for... Okay, that will be done. And very soon I'll be going back to all your questions. There will be even more graphics and clean sheet odds, top 10 captains in my deadline stream and across all my FPL content this week. But before we even get to that and more analysis of Gameweek 13, I will be delving into match day 5 of UCL Fantasy. So stay tuned for that. Over the weekend, going into the Monday, you'll have 3 videos. That's the plan. A Limitless and Wildcard squad in separate videos and my team selection where a chip is very likely to be deployed. Okay, so that should work. Thank you, by the way, to those that said it in the live chat that told me about the Lacroix DEFCON, because I wasn't aware, and it's probably worth going to this. Let's see if that looks decent. Yeah, we'll go back to the full screen here. Let's go to the fixtures. And let's go through all of this before I go back to your questions. So for Burnley 0, Chelsea 2, the bonus points have been allocated to Enzo Fernandez, Tosin and Neto. So Robert Sanchez is just narrowly missing out, which is a big shame. But still, 6 points from him isn't too shabby. DEFCON was awarded to Esteve, Andre Santos and Tosin Adarabioyo, who had a great game today. For Bournemouth 2, West Ham 2, the bonus points have gone to Callum Wilson, who scored a brace against his former club, Areola, and Enis Unal. Whilst Mateus Fernandes, Igor Julio, Jared Bowen, Kilman, Diouf, Todibo, Lewis Cook all secured DEFCON. And for Brighton 2, Brentford 1, the bonus points went to Minter, Welbeck, and Hinshelwood. Whilst the Yari, Vifa, Vandenberg all got DEFCON. And for Fulham 1, Sunderland 0, the bonus points went to Bassi, Joachim Andersen and Raul Jimenez, and unsurprisingly, Joachim Andersen got DEFCON. The same goes for Mukiele as well. Liverpool 0, Nottingham Forest 3. The bonus points went to Murillo, Nico Williams and Anderson. And for DEFCON, Virgil van Dijk, thankfully, secured a 3-pointer as a result. Also Murillo, who was an absolute monster today, Nico Williams, Anderson, and Milenkovic. And here we go, Lacroix on the famous 9. No, he's on 8 defensive contributions. So, yeah, he had 2 taken away. That's quite surprising. So the bonus points went to Daniel Munoz, Lacroix, and Jeremy Pino, who scored a brilliant goal off the crossbar and in. And DEFCON went to Andre, Joao Gomez, Agbadu, Totti Gomez. And yeah, basically not Munoz and Lacroix, unfortunately. And in the final game that just went by between Newcastle and Man City, Harvey Barnes of the Brace secures all bonus points. Bruno Guimaraes and Cherki also will share 2. Now for DEFCON, Cher, Joelinton, Tonali, Chow were the only ones to get DEFCON. And we've got 3 games left, of course, in Gameweek 12 before we move fully on to Gameweek 13. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. What do you think of the Lacroix saga? Also, Robert Sanchez having a bonus point or 2 taken away. And anything else really in FPL for this week. Do you have Saka, ready to play tomorrow? Jury and Timber? Do you have Spurs players like Van der Ven? Maybe the likes of Mbumo, Bruno Fernandes, Indai? I'd like to hear it in the live chat. Let's continue the conversation for the next hour or so. And I'll show you my FPL team again. And yeah, that is it. Lacroix with 11 points is accurate on screen, and the bonus point should be refreshed and updated very soon. Happy with the Munoz and Minter hauls, considering Sato, Morgan Gibbs-White this week. Well, Gibbs-White is in fairly decent form. He did miss a penalty in the Europa League fairly recently, but yeah, it was a great finish. I'm very surprised by the result today. I thought Liverpool would have turned the corner a little bit But yeah, back-to-back 3-0 losses. They're not in great shape at the moment. But I still think Sar's worth keeping. He's actually going to go up in price tonight, according to livefpl.net, but he's been a big disappointment. Looking forward to seeing your wildcard. I also haven't used it, and free hit 13 as well. Yeah, it will be quite interesting because things change very quickly. So whilst in recent weeks I would have recommended maybe 2 or 3 Chelsea players, that won't be the case now. But I still like Enzo. Sanchez could be considered in goal, but I think Chelsea will rotate quite heavily, particularly in Game Week 14 against Leeds. Caicedo and Semenyo not playing makes Ndiaye and Anderson with 8 points to auto-sub in. Well, Anderson's getting bonus points, so that's going to be an even bigger haul. I'm at 28 points, Captain Mateta. Luckily, Haaland didn't get many points either. Yeah, disappointing with Mateta, but at least Haaland blanked. If Haaland went off, then it would have been a different story, and you got some good points there off your bench, and we'll see what Ndiaye does on Monday. 36 points, and Bruno Fernandes, and Mbumo, Timber, and Saka captain. Great position to be in. Pieta says 33 points, Saka, Bruno, and Mbumo to go. 220k to 180k, and let's see if Arsenal keep a clean sheet. Well, they are top of the clean sheet odds, but yeah, usually this fixture is like 3-1, 2-1 Arsenal. But yeah, I think Spurs will be very difficult to beat tomorrow under Thomas Frank. Well, I've had a few people mention the free hit and the wild card, but yeah, like I said, with any sort of like provisional teams and stuff, I'm not going to make any promises, but I will save, an in-depth sort of, squad being built for those respective videos. I might even combine them into one and show you the free hit team towards the end of the wildcard podcast. But if you want to see them in separate podcasts, then let me know in the live chat. But yeah, for today, we'll see. Maybe I'll build a rough one, but no guarantees on that one. What are your thoughts on selling Gakpo for Foden? Don't love the rotation risk now. With Gakpo, he was always a short-term punt, and once Wirtz is back, which could be in Game Week 13 or 14, I think Gakpo could drop to the bench again. Phil Foden as well, though. He missed a big chance today. I'm more keen on Foden in UCL Fantasy, not so much in FPL. I think Doku played very well today, by the way, even though I talked about skipping him. I never liked him for Newcastle away, but if Doku keeps playing like that, he's going to get even more goal contributions and be a solid FPL asset. Eddie says my rank is 2 million. I have Raya, Fernandes, and Mbumo left to play. Yeah, good players left, but 24 points is a bit meh. I mean, ultimately, a lot of us have low scores, but there are fine margins. I think 30 would be enough to secure Green Arrow in most ranks, but maybe not in the upper echelons, even though livefpl.net suggests that the safety score in the top 10k is 26, which does surprise me. Yeah, Lacroix had Defcon removed and down to 8 defensive contributions. Yeah, that's gone. We can say adieu to that. I'm considering Dean to replace Gabriel for a 1-week punt playing Wolves. Yeah, good fixture on paper, but it is a derby. And I think Wolves could cause problems there. They had a few moments against Crystal Palace, and Aston Villa are better defensively against the best teams. They tend to open up a little bit more against teams they're expected to beat, so they'll score and create more, but they'll also concede more chances on the other end. So I'm less keen on Matty Cash personally. I'll be honest, if I free hit, I'd probably include a Villa defender in there, but I'm quite wary that they're not that reliable defensively in the grand scheme of things. Would you consider Chelsea as one of the title contenders? No. Free hit 13 versus 16. I was asked about this earlier, probably by you. Should we target Liverpool players against West Ham? Well, based on recent form, I mean, West Ham got a good point against Bournemouth despite fumbling a 2-0 lead. They got back-to-back wins. I think West Ham will score against Liverpool in Game Week 13, but it should be a high-scoring game. I think both teams will get on the score sheet, but it's difficult to pinpoint which Liverpool assets because Ekitike didn't start today. Cody Gakpo might start, but it all depends on Wirtz's fitness. Mohamed Salah isn't worth the 14.2 million price tag, but we know he can go off at any moment. Virgil van Dijk offers Defcon, and if he can combine that with a goal and or clean sheet, then you've got a good return there, but I couldn't guarantee that at this moment in time. So if I were to make a prediction now, I mean, I keep saying Liverpool will win, and they don't, but they have to get back to winning ways, even though West Ham have improved under Nuno in the last couple of weeks. But with your first question, I'm more keen on free hitting in 13, but if you've also got the wildcard and triple captain, then you could be a bit more flexible and change the order of your chips a little bit. But the wildcard's the most important. If you feel like you've got a lot of fires to put out, then the Game Week 13 wildcard could be the priority, but it all depends on your situation, and everyone's case will be a little bit different. I'm on 22 with 4 left, Saka captain. Well, Saka captain will be very important, and if you go to a website like livefpl.net, it will basically say you've got 5 players left because Saka's your captain, so that counts for 2 players. So, yeah, that isn't great at the moment, but that could turn into a small green by the end of the game week. Marino's only an option until Gyökeres is back, basically, and we could see that happen in game week 12 or 13. Hopefully Gyökeres is available, but I think Marino will start tomorrow in the North London derby. Beyond that, I wouldn't really recommend him. Opted for Verbruggen instead of Raya, paid off. If he wasn't big, there could have been a 10-pointer. Yeah, solid. Very solid there, and you've got a really good score, I believe, right? 56. So, yeah, Verbruggen with that penalty save, that was really clutch. I don't really like him in FPL, though. In the grand scheme of things, I wouldn't, go for him on the wild card or anything like that. And Brighton don't keep many clean sheets. The same goes for Fulham, even though Joachim Andersen got a massive return this week. So it's not absolutely locked in, but I did allude to this a few times in the stream. My current plan is to free hit in Game Week 13, yes. But I'm also not discounting the wild card. But I think free at 13 and wild card in 14 or 15 is more likely. Forgot about Marino, so 5 left. Yeah, that's looking very solid there, Ahmad. And hopefully Marino can do the business tomorrow. He has scored some important goals against Chelsea, for example, the winner. A really impressive goal against Real Madrid. Also got an assist away from home. So playing up front, he's got a very good record for Arsenal. And I think the problem with the Gunners right now is that Marino is probably better off the bench. And to have more options will only increase their chances of winning. And if a lot of these players like Madueke, Odegaard, Gyökeres and Martinelli are still out, then I think Arsenal down to the bare bones in attack again. Thanks, Dylan, on advice on free hit. No worries, Eddie. And of course, we can talk about this in more detail over the next week or so. Or maybe just get Matheus Nunes, staying as far away from Van Dijk as possible. I still prefer Nico O'Reilly, but Matheus Nunes is quite nailed on at the moment. But I think with any City player, this could change very quickly, especially during the Christmas period, which will be very congested. And I know City have been easier to predict this season. They've got a more established and settled 11, but after this loss again, we could see 1 or 2 changes like rain does start the next Premier League match, for example. Hey Dylan, I'm 200th in Champions League Fantasy. Can I win it? Well, it is early days, but of course you can. Even if you were 2k or 20k, you still got a chance, although the probability would be lower in that scenario. But for sure you can win it, but you've got to take it one step at a time. Azaro12 says, this game is cruel. Thiago's penalty miss cost me 9 points. Yes, that is very cruel. It's a very fine margin. That is the beauty and also the curse of a penalty taker. You could look at such a massive return, and let's not forget the first penalty he scored is what resulted in him getting points in the first place. Otherwise, it would have been just a 2-pointer from him. So, yeah, very hit and miss there from Thiago, but he's still one of the best forwards on the free or wild card. I'd highly recommend him in Game Week 13. Wei Sing says, yeah, rip, 4 a.m. here. Very late. I'd recommend getting some sleep, to be honest. That's the best advice I can give you. The Thiago pen miss hurt. Yeah, I was quite surprised to see that, but I was a bit gutted with his first penalty, the one he scored. And I was thinking, if I wildcarded, I would have had him in, but I haven't really compared what my wildcard squad would have been like. I mean, Munoz would have been in there, but then again, I got Lacroix, so not a massive difference. Yeah, ultimately, it's kind of what I felt going into the deadline. I didn't see a massive swing between the wildcard and, my current team, but maybe Saka will have something to say about that tomorrow and in Boomer on Monday. Must be fun being Van Dijk this season. He's made mistakes, but I've had no idea what Konate is doing with his defending, and they don't have many other options till January. Great day as a United fan. Yeah, Konate's had a stinker. Look, he had a good season last time out, and Konate has a lot of potential, but I always felt like some Liverpool fans kind of forced the conversation of him versus Saliba. Yeah, I mean, Saliba's had some bad moments as well, but Konate this season has been downright awful. Liverpool look really bad. Look, defensively, they look shocking, and we saw that against Man City as well, where they deserved to lose. Maybe some of the goals they conceded was a bit unfortunate, or were a bit unfortunate, and of course Van Dijk's goal not, standing, but they deserved to lose against City. And even in the games they won early in the campaign, I think Liverpool were a bit fortunate in some of them, so things are looking horrible at the moment. I mean, for them to lose 6 games in November is an absolute wow. I mean, I can't even describe it fully. I mean, it's something I never expected. I thought Liverpool could finish third. That was my prediction, but the drop-off is crazy. I mean, I don't see them finishing third right now. I knee-jerked into Haaland captaincy over Munoz. I'm not sure about knee-jerking into Haaland captain. I mean, he is the best captaincy option in most game weeks, but look, Daniel Munoz, people might think, oh, I'm going to captain him against United next week. Yeah, good luck with that. I'm not too keen, but Wolves was a good opportunity. I get that. I just felt there were a lot of unknowns because they have a new manager and you just never know what you're going to get. And Crystal Palace can be unreliable against teams they're expected to beat. A bit like Brighton and a few of these other teams I've mentioned. I think Palace are sometimes more dangerous against the top teams where they are conceding possession and they can hit them on the counter-attack, essentially. Hello, Dylan. Do you think Lisandro Martinez is available for Monday? Yeah, that is a good question. I don't think he'll be a starter. I definitely don't think that. Could he be in the squad? I don't think he will. But it is a good question. I don't think he's too far off from a return. I think I covered some of these comments by Ruben Amorim in my recent Predicted Lineups podcast. But yeah, I'll be honest. I think I've got it in my notes here, what Ruben Amorim said on Lisandro Martinez. So let's see if I can get that up. Maybe I don't, actually. But I did see him mention Lisandro Martinez recently. Let's see. So well, it doesn't really say here, does it? So yeah, he has trained over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, and Ruben Amorim said on Friday that he's close to being able to play. I think they'll be cautious of it. So I don't expect Lisandro Martinez to get significant game time in Game Week 12, but by the time we get to 13-14, we could see him getting more match sharpness and rhythm and building up that fitness. So it's a good question. Voltemade, Joao Pedro and Gabriel out for Ekitike, Thiago and O'Reilly for a hit. I'm not too keen on Ekitike, and I've been very consistent on that all along. I thought he'd start today. It was Isak this time round. Maybe that will swap going into Game Week 13, but yeah, long term, I think Thiago, Mateta, Haaland is the best front three you can build. It might be quite template, but if you check the effective ownership, it's still maybe not as high as you would think, in my opinion. As for O'Reilly, yeah, good entry point against Leeds, but could Man City also rotate in Game Week 13? That's a possibility. So, yeah, Thiago I'm very keen on. I think O'Reilly's decent, but I still prefer Senesi, Crystal Palace defenders, Timber. Maybe Van Dijk is a no over O'Reilly, but something to consider, especially if you back Liverpool to bounce back a little bit, but maybe you don't feel that way. All the people who moved to Van Dijk says, Osman, I want double Palace. Well, fair play, but it's only one game week, mate. Although many stars made me disappointed. Are they stars? Still grateful to reach rank 564. Well, yeah, even if it's just tonight, you're in a great position. And yeah, use the website livefpl.net so you can track your progress at all times. And if the website is down, you can just type 2 at the end of www as a backup server. I've refreshed that page a lot over the years. Sasko React says, I'm on a 6-point green arrow with Saka captain, Rice, Timber and Ndai left. Yeah, that's looking very solid. I'm less confident in terms of my prospects. You've essentially got 5 players left with Saka captain and you've got a 6-point buffer, so looks good. Got lucky with Tosin subbing in, to be fair, but I'll take it all day. I still think he's a sell. And the first choice centre-back partnership for Chelsea is Fofana with Chalobah. But yeah, it's a very good performance from him today and healthy return. Yeah, Crispy Bacon, I am looking to free in Game Week 13. It's not 100% locked in because I can still wildcard as well, but over the last couple of days and weeks, I've been thinking about this and the free hit in 13 might be slightly better for my setup and then I can wildcard shortly afterwards. 21 points, 3 players left in Boomer Captain, definitely the worst week. Yeah, not looking great, but with Boomer Captain, you essentially have 4 players left, and that could turn into 40 points very easily. And if you get more than that, that could be enough to secure a small green arrow by the end of the weekend. Clawing my way back up to my previous rank after my -12 hit Howler a few weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, it's a great week for you. And you've got to enjoy some of the fortunate parts of it, like Tosin Adarabioyo coming on, but yeah, well deserved. And with -12s, I mean, the more hits you take, the less likely it is to pay off. But I've seen -20s pay off in the past. Not in my situation, but I've seen people in, the live chats and comment sections talking about this, and sometimes you can hit the jackpot, even though you are basically just being trigger happy with the transfers. Worth selling Gabriel for Timber? I still think so, but in terms of timing against Chelsea away, I'm a bit iffy about it. And Ben White is only building up his fitness, so we could see him start a game. Maybe Timber starts against Tottenham and Bayern, and then Ben White plays against Chelsea. That's a possibility, but I still think Timber is the best Arsenal defender. And I've said this from Gameweek 1, basically. Apart from Gabriel, I would cover Arsenal defensively with Raya, then Jiri and Timber, but that is certainly up for debate, and it also depends on what combination you get. So, for example, Robert Sanchez and Timber looks good, but then you might want to get Raya and, let's say, Cucurella or Munoz. So it all depends, really. Bada puts his squad. Free hit next week or 16 if team is kept pretty much the same. I'd probably free hit. You've got Enzo facing Arsenal. You've got 2 Arsenal defensive coverage there. Semenyo is a doubt, although I think he'll be available. Burn is now back from suspension. You've got Munoz facing Man United. Obviously, Mbeumo has that sort of clash. You've got Mateta as well. So, yeah, free at 13 looks very solid for you. I'd say Calafiori is a good budget pick, despite Miles predicted to start. Well, I wouldn't call Calafiori a budget pick. I mean, 5.8 million for a defender is actually a premium option, in my opinion. But, yeah, he offers better value, arguably, than the others, like Jiri and Timber. But he's also more prone to rotation. It's not just Lewis Skelly. I mean, I would say Hincapie as well. But with Gabriel out of the equation, that's less relevant now. But if everyone's available for Arsenal, and we could see that by the end of December and January, then Calafiori could have his minutes managed. I mean, even over this international break, he was yellow flagged because he was managing his load, and that's why he didn't play for Italy, as reported by Fabrizio Romano. I thought you said 200th, Ellis Coyle, but yeah, I covered your question earlier. If you're 100th, that's even obviously better. It's, it's a very good rank, but still early days. I think I'll be happy with a 100k finish for the first time, considering this is my second FPL season. Yeah, it's very difficult now to get into that sort of rank. I mean, people always talk about top 10k, which is my ultimate aim, but I think it's much more difficult now than it would have been 10, 20 years ago. And even 5 years ago, when I started making content, it was easier to get there. I think the competition is only ramping up. The template is always very strong, especially over the last couple of years, but I welcome the challenge. Another bad week for me. Looking forward to UCL now. Yeah, I mean, I'm only just on a green arrow, but I don't really see it as a great week, especially after the points removed just now. But I'm also looking forward to UCL Fantasy, and the Limitless could be a great, great play. It's actually one of those rare times where a lot of people in UCL Fantasy will play the Limitless in the same week that people use the free hit in FPL. So it's going to be a very weird situation, actually. It could be a massive week in both fantasy formats. Dusan says Bowen first forward to get DEFCON in the game. Didn't even know forwards can get them. Yeah, they can. It was all covered in my key changes to FPL video, but it's so rare. We've seen a few players like Joao Pedro maybe get so close to the, the threshold, but they weren't quite able to get it over the line, because what confuses people is that midfielders and forwards need to get 12 defensive actions to secure DEFCON, whilst defenders only need to get 10. But yes, any outfield player can secure DEFCON, but it's very rare for a forward to get that. 55 points of free hit when Mbeumo left. Yeah, I'd call that a relative success, especially if you gain points compared to your normal team. And I think Mbeumo looks very solid. We'll see if the most transferred in curse strikes again. 19 points. It keeps getting worse with every passing week. Yeah, that is a bad score, even in a week like this, which is so low scoring. But if you've got Saka, Mbeumo, and a few others left, especially one of them as captain, then I would maybe pause the pessimism. But yeah, when you've got 19 points after the Saturday, it looks horrible. Pope, Timber, Van Dijk, Senesi, Anderson, Cunha, Saka, Minter, Sarr, Semenyo, Haaland, Mateta. Is it okay to play, or should I use free hit in 13? I mean, look, it's a good squad overall, but I would probably play the free hit. I mean, Cunha could miss Gameweek 12 and maybe 13 as a result of this injury that has been reported that he sustained in training. Joachim Andersen against Tottenham away. Senesi doesn't look too bad, to be fair. But yeah, I'm looking at Timber, Saka. Semenyo still a doubt, although I think he'll be available. Mateta against United. Cunha against Palace, and also he might not be available. I would free hit there. Semenyo or Gakpo out? I would rather sell Gakpo, to be honest, especially if Wirtz is back. And Kruppi for Thiago, yeah, I'd bring in Thiago if you can, for sure. Which triple up to use for City and Brentford if we use free at 13? For City, it would be Haaland, Doku, and either O'Reilly or Donnarumma. For Brentford, I mean, Igor Thiago stands out. I would also say Kevin Schade, and then one of Kelleher or a defender, but that does seem like forcing it a little bit. I think Damsgaard could be a decent differential, but I think Schade is the bigger goal threat. As for Liverpool players, it's still Salah, but he's just too much money. Virgil van Dijk and... I mean, maybe Ikatike, maybe, but I'm not too keen. I'll be honest. I mean, Thiago and Haaland will be locked in on my free hit in 13 if I play the chip, and it's quite likely that I do, as things stand. Mateta isn't as locked in or nailed, but he could score against United, and I would rank him higher than Ekitike or Isak. Yeah, Oogie Boogie still ruining the missed opportunity of Munoz captain. Well, look, it happens, right? Sometimes you'll listen to your gut and it goes wrong, so it is what it is, right? But yeah, with Munoz, fair play to those that captain him, and at least you got him. One of the highest scoring players in the game this week, and he's a quality FPL asset. James says free hit active. Yeah, so because I've also got the wild card, I'm not locking it in tonight, I believe, because things could change. I might get a lot of other injuries that are long-term in the next day or so, and as a result, I need to, you know, adapt a little bit, just wild card and sort those issues out for the long term, and then I can focus on the free hit before Gameweek 20. But yeah, I think the Gameweek 13 free hit looks really solid and appealing for a lot of people. Not everyone, but I think a lot of people watching will benefit from using that booster now. Minter or Dango next week? Yeah, Dango's a decent shout against Burnley, but I prefer Kevin Schade. I'm going to say Minter. I have 43 points after bonus. Got added from today's games with Raya, Timber, and Bumo. Yeah, it's a good week, of course. I mean, if you got a green arrow, you know, the kind of average is 30 points, 25, 30 points, and you got 43. That's a good week. And you've got good players left. Buendia's in great form. In Bumo, of course, is the flavour of the month. And you've got 2 Arsenal defence. I mean, that could be a bit shaky for the next 2 matches, but I do like them in the long term. 29 points from 9 with Mbumo, Pau Torres, Eze. It's okay. You're kind of bordering on that green arrow, but you need those remaining players to deliver. If all of them return, you will get that green arrow, but even just one blank, I mean, Mbumo maybe isn't as relevant, but yeah, Pau Torres and Eze, if one of those differentials can hit a good return, then you'll be in business, but it's going to be a close one. Enzo saved the day, says Banjo. Yeah, not for me. Triple Captain Haaland, yes, but you might also have the free and wild card, which look really appealing in Gameweek 13. Played Semenyo and had Reece James first on the bench and Elliot Anderson second. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. 30 with bonus to come and 4 to play. Yeah, 4 to play is decent. I'm assuming you got one of Saka and Mbumo, and if you've got a captaincy option still, then that could be pretty decent. What's your take on officials? Many contestable decisions every week. A bunch of them today. Yeah, but is it just today? And every single match day in the Premier League, you know, for many, many years now, we see contentious decisions, you know, inconsistencies and stuff like that. I've been calling it out for a while, so I try to ignore it when possible, but it can be very difficult to, especially when it costs your team points. But yeah, I mean, I'm not too surprised, to be honest. It just happens all the time. So when it actually favours my team in a way, then I'll take it. I mean, what else can you do, right? But everyone's going to get shafted at one point, and unfortunately, it's not going to improve anytime soon because there is this sort of culture in, you know, football fandom, and I get it. You know, it's good to banter rival fans and stuff like that, and it's fun. But yeah, you look at this sometimes, and people would rather kind of point score and make fun of the other team and the rival fans instead of all coming together and calling out the PGMOL and the horrible refereeing standards. It's also a worldwide thing, to be fair. But I think in England especially, the standards are horrendous, and they're one of the few countries with professional referees, but it doesn't seem like it. Why did Mateta go off early? Was he injured? I think it's just managing minutes, to be quite honest with you, but it was a big shock, to be fair, for Mateta to go off so early. But I will double check that for you. Yeah, it's also Eddie Nketiah coming back from injury, trying to build up some fitness and match sharpness, and Palace have so many games in December. So this could be more of a common theme now, where Mateta gets 70 minutes. I don't think 60 will be as common, but yeah, it's another example of the 59th minute man here in Jean-Philippe Mateta. He came off just a few seconds before the 60th minute, which is a huge, huge shame for those that went for him. But yeah, these things happen in FPL, right? It's kind of part of the folklore of the game. Not keen on O'Reilly now, because Aït-Nouri is fit and could easily start against Leeds. Yeah, I think rotation will happen. For those that haven't invested in Nico O'Reilly yet, it's a bit of a difficult one. For those that have him, you hold, but it's kind of an awkward situation with O'Reilly and a lot of City assets. Not all of them, but I think a few of them come into question. The same applies to Chelsea as well, going into Gameweek 14 when they also play Leeds away. 23 of Raya, Timber, Saka captain, and Boomer and Dye Goodmanson off the bench. Yeah, the score isn't great, but you've got a lot of players left. I think that will turn into a green, personally. Especially if Arsenal if Arsenal win, then you're in business, I think. At least one of those players will return, if that's the case. 36 of Bruno, Timber, Raya. Yeah, good score. Decent players left. For a lot of us, we're kind of walking the tightrope of a green versus red arrow. That could change in a heartbeat, really. Yep, Lacroix lost his DEFCON, that was covered earlier. I think Sanchez also lost a bonus point. So going into this stream, I had 34 points. I was several points clear in terms of the safety score, but now it's only 1 point, so things aren't looking great. Reece James off at half-time too. Is there an injury scare or rest for the Barca game? I think it's just rest for the Barca game, and there's also Arsenal at the weekend. So, yeah, Reece James always has his minutes managed. It's nothing new there, but obviously it's a gut punch for those that have him because he had great potential against Burnley today. Crash Gunner 714 says, I haven't used my triple captain. Is Haaland triple captain versus Leeds the best choice before the end of the year? Yes, I believe so. And I've talked about this for several weeks now. I played it against, when Haaland played Burnley in Gameweek 6, and it went well. I think Haaland could match that against Leeds in Gameweek 13, but yeah, I think it's the best one on paper. James de Munoz looks solid. I've always highlighted Munoz as one of my favourite defenders in the game, but you've also got Van Dijk still, although I'm less keen on him after today. You've also got Timber, who might be the best long-term. Mark Gay, Richards, Lacroix, they're all very solid. It's difficult to separate those Palace defenders, but Munoz has that high ceiling, and he's very exciting to own in FPL. Yeah, free it will be very popular in Gameweek 13. I might play it myself, but I will reassess this over the coming days after the UCL fantasy coverage. Very strange season so far, or is it just me? A lot of players inconsistent, premium players not performing, random defeats. Yeah, I think so. It has been a very random season. If Arsenal don't capitalise tomorrow, then I think that will kind of sum it up because they can go 7 points clear with a win over Tottenham. But if they fail to capitalise, then we're basically looking at a season where no one's that consistent. I think Arsenal are still the most consistent overall, but you've got Chelsea in second at the moment, only 3 points behind. Yeah, it's just a weird season. I have to agree with you there. I mean, Man City have been kind of bigged up. They won 8 of the last 10 games before today, and people thought that they would chase Arsenal down, and they might still do it. They are the most likely to challenge Arsenal for the title, but that was a big defeat today, and that could change the tide yet again. From an FPL perspective, a lot of these players, as you say, are not really performing on a consistent basis. Salah was on fire at this stage last season, and now he's just not really an option at 14.2 million. Bukayo Saka has shown a bit of form, but not enough consistency over the course of the season. Cole Palmer's been injured, and when he was fit, he wasn't really showing too much, in my opinion. So I agree with you. Erling Haaland's the only one who's offering that consistency and that high ceiling regularly, but yeah, that's what makes it difficult to nail on the captaincy when you go against them in weeks like this. Thoughts on Xavi Simons? Not really much to say. I mean, I don't want to jinx anything for tomorrow regardless, but yeah, I think there is a chance he doesn't start tomorrow, which is something I talked about in my recent videos and stuff, and this is not just a problem for Game Week 12 against Arsenal, but also in future weeks, so I don't think he's the most nailed-on option, and with Tottenham Hotspur, I think most of their players are in a void, even if they get a result tomorrow, but yeah, I think with Spurs, you don't invest right now. I wildcarded this week in Champions League. I think it's a bit of an awkward time to wildcard in UCL Fantasy, but if you've got a lot of fires to put out and this will set you up until the end of the league phase, then fair enough. But if you've also got the limitless, then you could navigate that, I think, fairly well. So wildcard now and limitless in 7 would look pretty promising, but if you've got both chips available for UCL Fantasy, I'd probably limitless in 5 and then wildcard in 6 or 7. Triple captain Haaland in 13, yes, but you've also got other chips maybe. For those with the free hit and wildcard, that's going to be a big decision to make. Best midfielder for 6.3 million. There are several. I'm going to say the same names as I did today before the deadline. I think Minter will be the standout. I like Caicedo still. He will start plenty of games for Chelsea, but rotation will be more prevalent this season because Chelsea are in the Champions League, not the Conference League. That's a big difference. You've also got Granit Xhaka as a budget option. Yeah, I think Minter would be the best one. 30 points of Saka, Timber, Calafiori, Ahmad, Bruno, captain. Monday will be a fun watch. Yeah, okay score so far. You're kind of walking the tightrope of a green versus red arrow, but with all those players left, yeah, I think you'll do it. I think you'll secure a green arrow. 30 points of Saka, captain, Mbeumo, De Ligt, Timber, and Raya. Kind of similar here. You've got Saka, captain, which I really like. Mbeumo as well. I'm not too keen on De Ligt, but then again, I did back them to keep a clean sheet against Everton, so maybe this week it'll pay off. Only time will tell. Gabriel for Ruben or Virgil. Well, Ruben Dias has better fixtures, but Man City could also rotate in this period coming up. So, whilst they've had a fixed 11 this season, I would not be surprised if the likes of Dias and O'Reilly were benched against Leeds. It honestly wouldn't surprise me. With Van Dijk, you have that certainty of starts. You can get DEFCON regularly. Also the odd goal, which we haven't seen in the Premier League so far. A bit unlucky to have that goal disallowed against City a few weeks ago. And Van Dijk is also very good for bonus points. But it might be an unpopular opinion. I'd still lean towards Van Dijk, but ultimately City are better defensively than Liverpool. But Man City conceded 6 big chances today against Newcastle. Haaland triple captain 13 off free hit. If not free hitting now, when is the next best time? Arguably Gameweek 16, but it is team dependent, Yusuf, and I don't know who you've got. I have Gay from very early part of the season. Is it good to double up with Munoz, or should I just spread the defenders from different teams? Well, Wolves was a great fixture, and I think doubling up in Gameweek 12 looked good, but against United, I'm less sure. I think 1 is probably enough, and I've said very consistently that the sweet spot with Crystal Palace is 2 players overall, especially in their congested schedule in December. So Mateta and Munoz would be my favourites overall. And that would mean skipping Ismail Assar, who I still like, but he has been underwhelming in FPL. And you've also got Gay, Richards, Lacroix, who are all solid, but I think 1 is probably the sweet spot defensively, and 2 overall. Do I captain Osimhen or Haaland on Tuesday? Well, I will show you my Campsy list and my thoughts in my UCL fantasy videos, but probably Erling Haaland. Now, Leverkusen are in good form, to be fair, and Osimhen is on fire, but so is Erling Haaland, despite the blank today. Hi Dylan, how's it going? I'm close to free hitting in 13. Yeah, nothing's locked in, but I think the free hit in 13 is looking more likely now, and then I can wildcard shortly afterwards. On a green arrow with 41 points, ruining the point swing between Munoz and Lacroix when everyone was removing Gabriel. I went for Richards. Yeah, Richards offers great value, but look, with the Lacroix one as well, he hasn't really gotten these big returns consistently. And I think you could argue it was a bit due, but he has underperformed his stats quite regularly throughout his career. I mean, last season his XG was over 3, which is quite high for a centre-back. He had multiple big chances from corners and free kicks, and he just didn't really score enough. But yeah, I still think there's not much to separate all of them, but Munoz is the most exciting overall. And from open play, he offers the best threat. So I could build a free hit team quite quickly here, but I would highly recommend waiting for a few days. So either in my wildcard video towards the end of that podcast or in a separate video for the free hit, I could show you my sort of free hit plans. And even in my team selection, I mean, I could free hit this week. So you'll probably see enough free hit coverage throughout the week anyway. So let's go to this website here. And yeah, livefpl.net is another one you could use, but this is fpl.team. Let's go to the free hit here and make some modifications. So I'm going to kind of wing it a little bit. So I'll go for a City defensive coverage. Donnarumma is my current pick. This could well change. Haaland and Thiago will definitely make it here. So both of them will be in this team. I'll remove Joao Pedro. Ollie Watkins, do I even go there? Ekitike, Mateta. Yeah, difficult choices to be made. I don't really mind Welbeck too much, but obviously Forest got a big result today. I'm probably going to say Mateta for the time being, despite the disappointments we saw now. Ismail Assar is a big game player, but I'll probably remove him. So let's bring in Mbeumo. I don't think I'm going to go for Saka here. Defensively, it's also quite tough. Because Timber against Chelsea away, not terrible, but I'm not that infused. I think in the midfield, I would go for Doku in Gameweek 13. So let's put Doku in there. We'll keep an eye out for Antoine Semenyo, and if he's available, we'll definitely get rid of Reinders. Just cheap out the bench here with some very, well, just budget options. Let's go for Dubravka as the backup. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, Reinildo, that's fine. That could also be a Stev. It really doesn't matter too much. Jurriën Timber, I'm not too keen on. Dan Burn is back. I don't think I'd go for him. So yeah, Munoz will make it just about. Van Dijk is still in here, which I guess a lot of you will disagree with. I think a Brentford player could make it into this team. I don't really trust him defensively. But yeah, Vandenberg was getting DEFCON quite regularly early in the season. That hasn't really been the case in the last couple of game weeks. And even Collins as well. Yeah, it's not an easy one here. I might just go for Coyote for the time being, but yeah, I think this definitely needs a lot of work. Bruno Fernandes out. I mean, nowhere near enough money to go for Saka. Phil Foden's an option in the midfield as well. I've already got triple City though, which is the main priority and benefit of using this chip now. But yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one. I mean, if you go for Mbeumo and Munoz, you will have a clash in the starting 11. It's not an easy week here to free hit, but it's definitely something to think about. And I will be building a better free hit team in a couple of days' time. So just be patient with that. The same goes for my wildcard squad. And of course, I'm still over budget, so I need to find a way to make this work. So let's see. So Timber out here. Could go for a Spurs defender like Van de Ven. And this is where you could include one or two Spurs players, but long term I would not recommend it. So yeah, Van de Ven could be in here. I mean, Daniel Munoz on the bench, I'm not entirely sure about that. I mean, according to FPL.team, they recommend starting Van Dijk and Munoz. So if we sort this out by predicted points, yeah, that's pretty much how they order things. Reinildo. I mean, if we've got enough money, we can just go for Michele, who can secure DEFCON. So yeah, I'd go for something like this. I'm still 0.1 million over budget. I don't think I'd go for Bruno Fernandes, but then it just comes down to that other player in the midfield. And that's where someone like Kevin Schade might appeal to some people. But yeah, triple Brentford on a free hit seems quite crazy, to be honest. And that's why this will be given a lot more thought in the coming weeks. I also like Minter in the midfield. And we would have enough money to do King to Minter, but you don't need to have a stacked bench. Just one good option there is enough, just in case someone misses out. And even Semenyo isn't nailed on in this squad, but yeah. That is sort of a provisional rough team. Yeah, it could be improved upon a little bit. 0.2 in the bank, 54.5 expected points, and yeah, leaving Mint on the bench doesn't look great, actually. I'll put him in here for now. And I've got Semenyo first on the bench. and the expected points does actually decrease a little bit. So yeah, definitely wait a little bit for my updated free hit squad, and I might even play this chip in Gameweek 13. The wildcard's also a possibility, so there's a lot to dissect, of course, over the coming days. And in UCL Fantasy, the same goes for that, where the Limitless could be activated ahead of the Matchday 5 deadline. I'm going to show you my FPL team one last time. I currently have triple captain chip active on Haaland versus Leeds, as I'm also considering Gameweek 17 on Haaland versus West Ham. Yeah, Haaland against West Ham looked very appealing, and look, West Ham are still conceding a lot of goals. In fact, they've conceded 2 goals in the last 3 matches, but they've got more positive results. Yeah, I think if you're not going to use the the triple captain in 13 against Leeds United, I think West Ham looks very solid. I'd rather that than Sunderland in Gameweek 15 for Haaland. That's a good shout. And yeah, the Norwegian boasts a great record against the Hammers. But it all depends really, because if you've got the free hit or wild card, you might well consider using it now and save the triple captain for later. But yeah, it's a good question. I feel like most don't need a Gameweek 13 free hit. No reason to do it for the sake. I think it's because a lot of people have Arsenal and Chelsea players and maybe Crystal Palace and United players, so they will face each other. Typically when that happens, you get a kind of low-scoring affair and you're guaranteeing certain blanks. But yeah, look, it's going to be different for everybody watching. You know, some people might not have those clashes and their team looks very solid. So it just depends really. But in a lot of situations I've seen, either the wildcard or free hit looks very decent actually. But then again, you might also have the triple captaincy to use on Haaland and, you know, Gameweek 13 against Leeds, and that looks very appealing to say the least. Now leaning on Murillo to replace Gabriel. Decent free game run, and he's a DEFCON beast. Usually gets them before the first half is even finished. Yeah, it was a big return from him today. Good finish. He got almost 20 defensive contributions, and I think under Sean Dyche he'll be a better FPL asset now, just like he was under Nuno Espirito Santo. But yeah, as a short-term punt, I don't really mind it. And Forest could give you 1 or 2 clean sheets in that spell, but longer term, I would have some doubts. Do I have to play the free hit card quickly and make the changes before the price rises to benefit fully? Or can I wait until just before the deadline? Loving the stream. Thank you very much, Damon. So I would only rush to do the free hit if you're going to be priced out. So go to the website fpl.team. Try to link your ID, your team ID, so you can see how much money you've got in the bank and it's all accurate to your situation. And if you're in a situation where you've got a 15-man squad in mind, but you're walking the tightrope, you've only got 0.1, 0.2 in the bank or something like that, and you know we're going to get plenty of price changes over the weekend, that could be a big concern. And that's where you might want to reconsider and rush it a little bit. But it's kind of a good question, because for a lot of people, when they ask, should I play the wildcard now? Like, I want to play it in Gameweek 13. I would say yes, just play it now and try to catch some price rises. But you say here, to benefit fully, this will not have any impact on your team value long term, only for Gameweek 13, because then your team resets to how it was beforehand, and then you're stuck with the free transfers you had before activating the chip. So yeah, you're only going to benefit from that for Gameweek 13 alone, and I would only go for it early if you're set on free hitting in Gameweek 13 and you're not going to play the wild card, the triple captain, or you just think that's going to be the best course of action for your squad, and you're also running the risk of being priced out of your ideal starting 11. But you can always cheap out your bench, have only one good option there. You don't need to have Van der Ven and Minter, for example, or Antoine Semenyo. I think that could be overkill. I only have the triple captaincy left. Yeah, in that case, I'd play it on Erling Haaland this week against Leeds United. You've also got West Ham, as someone rightfully mentioned. There's Sunderland, which looks less appealing now. But yeah, I think triple captain Haaland in 13 looks the best for the first half of the season. From the fixtures remaining, it definitely looks the most appealing and best on paper. So thank you, everyone. It has been a blast talking to you for the past couple of hours, and hopefully you're doing really well in Gameweek 12. Even if that's not the case, there are still 3 games left, 2 on the Sunday and 1 on Monday night, and we'll see where we are after everything has transpired. And the same goes for UCL Fantasy, where on the Tuesday and Wednesday, Matchday 5 will be underway, and the Limitless chip could be active for me. And for FPL, either the wildcard or free hit chip will be activated ahead of the next deadline. If you haven't already, like this stream, subscribe to my channel, and also hit that notification bell so you're always up to date on my content, both FPL and UCL Fantasy. Stay tuned for the best Limitless and wildcard squads, my team selection, and a hectic deadline stream next Tuesday. As Bada says, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much. And also a big up to Paredes, all the members, patrons, super chatters, and admins. You're all massively appreciated. And yeah, just all the best of luck for the rest of Gameweek 12. And also for UCL Fantasy. If you haven't played that game already, I'd highly recommend checking it out. It's a very fun game, and the template isn't as strong in the earlier stages of the competition. But I'll see you very soon. The next video will be the best limitless squad for matchday 5. And then it'll be the wildcard, the team selection, the deadline stream, and for FPL, there's plenty more to look forward to with the transfer tips, a wildcard squad, potentially a free hit video on its own, then a team selection, maybe a predicted lineups. If you want to see all of that, then let me know your feedback. It's always massively appreciated, and there'll be more deadline and reaction streams from now until the end of the season. Take care, enjoy the football. I wish you all the best of luck for Gameweek 12 and beyond, and I'll see you on Tuesday for the Matchday 5 deadline stream.